welcome back to another episode of Scenic Fights, Fight Scenes Breakdown. I'm Logan Lowe.
Chad Vasquez.
Today we are breaking down the stairwell fight scene from the 2017 Atomic Blonde film starring Charlize Theron as Lorraine Broughton. And you know, we've gotten a lot of requests for this particular fight scene, and I totally see why. All right, you ready?
Let's do it.
Let's go. I like how Charlize is keeping the assailant at bay, getting the weapon away from him.
That's cool. Ooh.
Right? Ooh, she just ate that.
All right.
Bam. Okay, knee shot.
All right, cool. So elbows to knees. And all right, just kind of tossed them. All right, so two things interestingly happened just now. We have Charlize using elbows and knees, totally valid in a, let's say, self-defense scenario when you don't have gloves. And also, second part is, there's a part where Charlize threw the guy. We couldn't see the footwork. It looked like she just uses her hands and maybe momentum just to toss the dude.
Right.
Given her size compared to the guy, I don't know how valid that'd be. Let's break that down. Charlize's character is dealing with two much larger opponents. But what she's doing very well is using elbows and knees.
Right.
That makes actually a lot of sense for anyone if you're in a fight self-defense scenario where you don't have gloves and strikes are being thrown. So let's look at it. She's throwing within an angle like so. You can also go upward like so, like an uppercut. Furthermore, whenever the arms get blocked by the opponent, well, the body's open. And so we have knees that can be used. Smart choice of weapons for her.
Funny little story, when I was just sparring with a good buddy of mine, I got kneed straight in the belly. I immediately vomited.
Yeah.
It was like an immediate, contact, vomit.
Yeah.
I mean, these are some effective strikes.
Good tools, and again,
Don't have Mexican beforehand.
as the fight moves forward, Charlize throws one of the guys. We don't see what her legs are doing. What it seems like is happening is she's grabbing the jacket, and with him charging and momentum, just really tosses him. Now, if she wasn't using her hips or feet, I don't see it happening.
Right.
Again, there being a size difference. So an alternative is a really cool judo sweep, assuming that momentum is being generated because the opponent is charging and using the grips to guide the opponent. If she used one of her feet to catch that foot, like so, I could see an example of even someone of her size compared to her opponent can throw someone effective like that. So that's something that would make more sense as an alternative move.
Keep. Man, you know, stuntmen, I don't know how they do that stuff. It's amazing. And this looks like it's all one cut, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. It's pretty amazing.
All right, everyone just fell together.
You know what's also impressive is Charlize is doing a lot of these stunts herself, right? That's pretty impressive. Bam.
Whew.
Yeah, she's taking a lot of punishment. Okay, so now she's using fists, but she's using fists for soft body targets. That makes a lot of sense.
Yeah. If you're gonna hit anywhere with a closed fist, that makes sense to the torso.
Right. Okay. Use of terrain, good. Improvised weapon. Guy tossed a bag at her. Oh, out the front knife. Out the front knife. This is so cool. I'll be doing this the entire video, guys. The whole video. I'll be doing it the whole time. All right. So, okay. It looks like there's some defensive work here.
All right, so now it's just mauling him with this knife.
Jesus, yeah. Yeah, she's going for it. And I like that. She's like attacking repeatedly. She's not just doing a one and done.
All right, so why would she not go straight for the head, the neck?
That's a great question. If it was me, if I was doing a fight such as this, I would do the same thing. I would go for center body mass, larger. So for me, I would probably do a couple of shots to the body before I go for the head. So body, then the head. Why? Because I want to make sure I cause some damage. Usually, when you're talking about weapons, you generally want to strike larger body mass first, and then the smaller targets later. So
I'd imagine it would help you find the target better too, right?
Exactly,
Okay.
exactly.
That makes sense.
Oh, Buddy comes in. Okay, she's forgetting about the first guy because she's figuring he's done.
Oh yeah, he's losing a whole bunch of blood, it seems.
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, this guy.
And he's like, I'm done. I'm good.
Man, that is an amazing...
It's a good fight.
How does he fall like that? Honestly, stuntmen, props to you. Okay, so as we saw in our nobody breakdown video, the guy has a knife inside him, and he just pulls it out and uses it now against Charlize. Let's see what happens. Ooh, reversal. I totally believe this reversal.
All right, cool. And there we have a drop set nage.
So here we've got a lot of things going on. We have an unarmed defender against an armed assailant. We have a reversal and we have a throw.
Yes, a drop set nage right down the stairs. So we have 3 things to break down.
All right, let's do it.
Let's do it.
Okay, so we're gonna take a brief segue to just talk about the OTF knife, which is an out the front knife. It's actually quite an old design. It's spring loaded. The blade comes directly out the front. And this was lent to me by one of my students, actually. Thanks a lot, Shahan. So with this knife, you'll note that it's a dual-edged weapon, as is the Gerber Mark II, which we discussed previously in Captain America Winter Soldier. These type of weapons are purely offensive tools to be used as weapons. Why is that? Note how little metal is on these two weapons. Whereas if you have a single-edged weapon, there's usually a thick spine, which means that it's a very strong tool for chopping. These are not meant to take heavy duty work. These are meant to be punctured into soft tissue. Clearly, the stunt team gave a lot of thought into what these particular assailants were going to be used for this particular job. Great work, guys. As we talked about in The Hunted and in Jason Bourne, if I'm unarmed and I'm going to go against someone that's armed, for me, I would traditionally want to be either in prayer or Home Alone, right? And as we said, in Home Alone, it's purely defensive. So I would probably want to be mainly in prayer. So Chad, you don't want to use the real knife, right?
I think, no, I'm good.
You sure?
Good.
You can show everyone how tough you are.
I don't think that's tough. I think I'm fine.
All right, so we're going to be using our safety trainer knife for this, okay?
Yes, please.
As we saw in this, Charlize had her hands almost palmed down as she was defending. Note, though, that if she has her palm down, do some sort of grab on me,
Okay.
right? So cut, right? So I just cut his wrist. Do any type of defense,
Yep.
cut. There's your hand,
Yeah.
boom, there.
Yeah.
So palm down, is it wrong? It is suboptimal. Why? Because it enables me to give a cut. However, if it's palm up, I can't get that wrist. I'm gonna try to just slash your wrist. Just keep your palms like that,
Gotcha.
and then defend yourself. Right. Here, harder. It's harder. Certainly, you don't want to get cut anywhere. No one wants to get cut anywhere. But in terms of having palm down against someone with a knife, it is suboptimal if you're going against someone with it in a hammer grip. Note that it's the reverse when it's in an ice pick grip. Chad, let's do the reverse. Right here.
Oh, I see. Yeah.
Right? So I'm cutting in. Now, have yourself palm down, all right? So as I defend, so you're just gonna defend, right?
Yeah.
So here, I'm cutting against the back of his arm. So it's counterintuitive. If you're gonna go against someone that has their weapon in a hammer grip, you want to have palms up, generally speaking. If you're fighting against someone that has their weapon in an ice pick grip, you generally want palms down, generally speaking. Was Charlize wrong in this particular scene? No, because really, it's hard to defend yourself against a knife if you're unarmed. But in terms of defending yourself, it wasn't the best way to do it, but I'm not gonna take off too many points for it. It was suboptimal. So here, in this final weapons exchange with this assailant, before we get to the drop seoi-nage, we're gonna talk a little bit first about A, targeting, and B, a reversal. All right, so for targeting, you had asked an interesting question. Why not just go for the head? Because I'm tired. I'm bloody, I'm sweaty, I'm hot. I could miss. Chad, I'm gonna launch a strike here. You're just gonna move your head.
Okay.
And boom. I just expended a lot of energy. And watch, Chad could just start taking a walk, take the back, and then suddenly I've lost. So for me, I would do the exact same thing Charlize did. For me, I would aim for larger body mass first. What I would probably do is 1, 2, bam, right to the head. So I would go 1, 2 to the head, and then she even went to the back and took the back as well. In terms of targeting, for me, and everyone's different, for me, I would just feel more comfortable aiming for center body mass first before I go for the headshot.
So you're making mincemeat of the person.
Well, yeah, I mean, mincemeat, you were like really slicing the person to ribbons. Here, I'm puncturing, so I'm making puncture meat.
Okay. So it's a little, oregano,
Little
garlic.
meat, little flavor.
You know what I'm saying?
There you go. Now we're gonna do a reversal. The assailant just pulled the weapon out of his own chest and does a really slow lunge towards Charlize. Charlize sidesteps, capture the crook of the elbow, and use that to bend and do a reversal. And then, as we saw in John Wick, hammer that weapon in. I think that was perfect. And situationally speaking, those are the exact conditions in which I would do such a move. You don't want to be in a knife fight. You certainly don't want to be disarming or reversing anything. But if you're going to be in a knife fight, certainly these are the ideal conditions. The guy's exhausted, bleeding out, taking trauma. I mean, really, in terms of ideal conditions, the ideal condition of life is being at home in your underwear, watching one of our Scenic Fights videos and wearing one of our shirts. I mean, that really is the ideal condition. But in the hierarchy of life events, if that's number 1, this is like number 80. So after that really cool reversal, Charlize finishes off the assailant with a drop seoinage.
She starts the first half with a regular ippon seoinage grip here. But her entry, her finish, is that of a drop seoinage. Now what I'll do is I'll have Lowen go in a square stance, and so we can see how I enter within that space. So there's a wrist grip involved. She gets this grip like so, and it seems as though she's actually using it to grab the jacket this guy's wearing. Now, from here, the lead leg, it's going to point to where my body's gonna go to. I'm going to drop in both knees within the best square stance I can do underneath my partner. So watch this back leg, it moves myself in. So from here, and so that's the entry. This will be combined with pulling of the hands, but definitely this forward crunch, and it seems like the speed she went, it developed this momentum to launch the guy. So now, here we go, the full move. And that's the idea of the throw. With regards to that technique in a full-on fight, self-defense scenario, off the mats, it's a bit tricky because there's no mats, right? Imagine just dropping right down to your knees on concrete. That is brutal on your knees. A modified version is lowering your center of gravity before you drop down to your knees, right? So let's look at the context here. When she goes into this underhook, squatting, does reduce the impact on the knees a little bit.
Versus just dropping to the knees, right?
Yes, exactly.
Makes sense. Oh, look, chat, that's Daniel Bernhardt. He's from Nobody, John Wick. I mean, he's an amazing stunt guy. No, I really like this. She's actually using the gun as a tonfa. I'm assuming because she doesn't have any bullets in it. So she can bring a lot of force to bear because, again, weapons are force multipliers. She can safely do hammer punches, which themselves are very safe, but not very powerful. Now she's making a very safe weapon for her, even more powerful. I think that's great. In the hierarchy of weapons, certainly a knuckle punch causes more damage, but there's also a greater chance of damage. With a hammer fist, less chance of damage to the person, but also less chance of damage to your opponent. Here, we have the best of both worlds. No chance I'm breaking my knuckles with this. There's a high chance that I'm causing severe damage with this. So just as we saw in Nobody, where Bob Odenkirk was able to wrap just a small watch around his hand, so he was able to have this small little bit of metal on his hand and was able to increase the amount of force that he was able to use. Imagine what we're talking about here. We're talking about what? 1.5 inches of solid metal that I'm using here, and then just whatever you're gonna throw at me, right?
Yeah.
I'm gonna go BAM! Here, to the head. That, I think, would be a fight ender. I think that if someone hit me with a bar of metal like that, square in the head, that's a finish. Yeah, she's literally grabbing anything she can.
Yeah, at this point.
She's getting the hot plate. She's down, so I'm assuming she's gonna do a low attack. And bam, right to the knee, high. Right in the head again, boom. She just threw her body into that. That was great. All right, now these are 2 tired and wounded people. Once again, probably also emotionally hurt.
Yeah, I mean, look where life has brought them.
This is the result of poor life choices, I would say.
With that said, we carry on to now grabbing a...
Oh, she gets a T-style corkscrew. Bam. We come prepared. All right, she gets to her feet, and they're back in the fight. Swinging wildly. Ooh, right into the armpit.
Okay, yeah.
Bam. Now she's taking...
Okay, let's go for a strangle, and you can do with palm to palm. That is legit
That's
strangle.
a Lieber choke, right?
Yeah, that's one term you can use to refer to it. A variation of a rear naked strangle.
Man, he's just taking it in the eye.
Right in the eye. Yeah, that's it.
Ooh, and right in the throat.
That's done.
Yeah.
Give her her number, and boom, that's it.
All right. Fight's over.
Nice.
She's ready
Cool
to
fight
finish.
scene, though. Really cool fight scene. So now in the final exchange between Danielle and Charlize, we now have a T-style corkscrew. She's using this tool as a push knife that we've seen in the Jason Bourne episode. This makes sense, actually. So what's going on here? Obviously, she puts in her power arm, and she has a lead hand. What this hand can do to actually kind of keep distance and harass and set up a more powerful strike with the power hand, like so. Very boxing-like.
I would think that the character had experience in the push knife because you do see her
slashing.
kind of doing like these big slashing motions which a push knife can actually do, a corkscrew cannot. So I would think that that would probably be muscle memory before she remembered, oh yeah, you know what, I need to use it as a thrusting weapon. And that happens, right? When you get tired in a fight, you start going back to like bad habits or going back to what you know. So I can see someone that has been really trained going, you know what, I'm just gonna flail wildly. Oh yeah, and then get back into the professional mindset.
Which eventually she does move to when she gets her back taken for a modified rear naked strangle. Within the battle, now Daniel has back exposure. In this case, Daniel gets a palm-to-palm grip here. In MMA, you'll see fighters do this same strategy because the gloves get in the way, right? It's hard to figure four with that object, right? So you have fighters, in this case Daniel, they'll grab palm-to-palm and apply a strangle here. Or at least use this grip to get the arm deeper in to then make space for a figure four. But in this case here, Daniel stays like so. I would also tell some of my students who have short limbs, big torsos, or going someone else who's also maybe has a wide frame to actually use this modified version if they can't get a full figure four. With that said, it seems like Daniel does not have these issues. So he's going in a suboptimal way on finishing this rear naked strangle.
All right, so Chad, to be clear, the lever strangle is still effective, right?
Yes, this variation can still work. It takes a little more energy and effort, but yes, it is valid.
Okay, because I'm just a nicer person than Chad, Chad likes to just choke me and do stuff to me. Whereas right now, I don't want to just slam this into his eye. I want to see if I can touch his shoulder a number of times before I start going out and need to tap. And then I'm going to see how long I can actually last if I was not armed and see if I can try to hit him in some capacity. All right, and go. Oh, this is a bad idea. This is a terrible idea. Yeah, that is valid. That is valid. Now, just to finish the scene, and we're gonna do this very slowly, if Chad is Daniel and has the lever choke, here, I'm gonna try to hit that eye. Now, there's a little bit of luck involved, but she kind of knows, she can feel kinesthetically where the head is in relation to his body. She then comes out here, and then just drives that straight into the throat. If you watch any type of Animal Planet, National Geographic, you can see that animals instinctively go for the neck. The neck is often a fight ender. Here, Charlize is trained, she knows this, and so she goes for what she knows is a fight ender. She's now caused massive damage by puncturing the eye. Now, so she can take it and bam, plow that right in to the throat. Total sense, makes total sense. I have to say, this was a great scene. I thoroughly enjoyed the film. I really like how she just took advantage of what was out there because that's what you do in a real fight. She didn't have a pistol that was loaded, so she used it as an improvised weapon to support a hammer fist. She didn't have a push knife, so she used a T-style corkscrew instead. What didn't I like? She used it slashing first versus just a thrust. Also, she did do kind of an unarmed versus armed assailant duel. Was it optimal? It wasn't. And I feel that there were better ways that she could have defended herself against an armed opponent with an edged weapon.
Within the hand-to-hand combat, pretty cool stuff. One, use of elbow and knees. Makes sense within real life, especially in the context of her being a smaller person. Excellent. Cool drop seoi-nage, even though we talked about just some of the dangers of applying that in a non-soft floor matted area. And then of course we looked at the rear naked strangle in a modified version. It's valid, it works. One little negative thing I would say is her being a smaller person, fighting multiple bigger people, and there's cases where she's taking some amount of punishment and moving them that I feel is unrealistic. But compared to everything else, that's just one still small thing. I think overall, pretty good, pretty cool.
Yeah, so in light of all of this, it gets a solid A from Chad and me.
Yep.
Really cool scene.